the little bird dove fly beyond limits. The night was thick with silence, the kind that presses on the chest like a weight. From the cracked window of a small apartment in Queens, New York, a faint streetlight leaked in, stretching shadows across the peeling wallpaper. Maria sat on the edge of her bed, her hands clutching the frame of a worn photograph. A young boy, smiling wide, stood in front of a wooden house somewhere far from here, far from America, far from the noise and loneliness of the city. Her son, Diego. He was back in Mexico with her mother. Maria had come here 3 years ago with one promise, to give him a life where he wouldn't have to choose between hunger and dignity. But dreams in America were heavy, and Maria was only one small woman carrying them on her back. The cage. Maria worked 2 jobs: morning shifts at a diner, nights cleaning office buildings. She barely slept, but she told herself every blister, every tear in her shoes, every insult swallowed from impatient customers was a brick laid on the road toward her son's future. Yet sometimes, walking past bright shop windows filled with clothes and toys she couldn't afford, she felt like a bird trapped in a cage, able to see the sky but never touch it. One evening, after finishing her diner shift, she walked into the staff restroom. Her friend Rosa was fixing her hair in the mirror. Rosa, also undocumented, always had a sparkle in her eyes that Maria envied. "You need to live a little, Maria," Rosa teased. "You're like a little bird with broken wings. Always working, never flying." Maria smiled weakly. "Birds don't fly when their nest is far away." The stranger. It was past midnight when Maria left her cleaning job in Manhattan. The subway station was nearly empty. A man approached her, tall, lean, eyes tired but kind. "You dropped this," he said, handing her a scarf she hadn't noticed slipping. "Thank you," Maria murmured, wary but polite. The man introduced himself as David, a former musician turned taxi driver. Over the weeks, she saw him again and again, sometimes at the subway, sometimes outside the diner. Slowly, against her cautious nature, Maria began to talk to him. David wasn't like the men she avoided. He didn't ask why her accent lingered on her tongue or why she always counted her coins before ordering coffee. Instead, he told her about his own failures, about losing his band, his marriage, his belief that life still held something for him. "You remind me of a little bird," he told her one night, echoing Rosa's words. "Caged, but strong. Birds are meant to fly, Maria. Even beyond limits." The fall. Just when Maria started to believe maybe she could let herself feel again, reality struck. One Friday, immigration officers raided the diner. Maria was in the kitchen when she heard the shouts. Workers scattered like frightened pigeons. Maria froze. She had no papers, no defense. If they caught her, everything would end: her dream, her chance to bring Diego here. She slipped out the back door, heart hammering, running into the freezing rain. She didn't stop until she reached the apartment. She collapsed on the bed, trembling. That night, she called her mother. She hadn't spoken to Diego in months. Hearing his small voice, "Mama, cuando vienes, Mom, when are you coming?" tore her in half. Maria pressed the phone to her chest after the call, whispering to the dark, "I can't let the cage close. I can't." Breaking point. Days turned to weeks. Maria avoided the diner, afraid of another raid. Her cleaning job alone couldn't pay rent. The landlord began knocking on her door, louder each time. One night, desperate, she met with a man Rosa knew, a man who promised quick money. He wanted Maria to carry a package across town. She didn't ask what was inside. She only thought of Diego's face. But as Maria walked through the streets, clutching the heavy bag, David appeared out of nowhere. "What are you doing?" he asked, eyes sharp. She tried to walk past him. "You wouldn't understand." He grabbed her arm gently but firmly. "This isn't you, Maria. Don't clip your wings for desperation." Tears burned her eyes. "You don't know what it's like to have a child waiting across a border, thinking you've forgotten him." David sighed, releasing her. "You're right. I don't. But I do know that birds don't fly by carrying weights. They fly when they let go." Maria stood frozen. After a long silence, she shoved the bag into a trash bin and walked away, shaking. The sky opens. Months later, things shifted. Rosa introduced Maria to a small church that offered legal help to immigrants. It wasn't easy. There were interviews, paperwork, fear of rejection, but for the first time, Maria felt the cage door cracking open. David helped too. He drove her to appointments, sat outside waiting, never asking for anything in return. Slowly, Maria allowed herself to trust him. On a warm spring morning, Maria received a letter. Hands trembling, she opened it. Her asylum case had been approved. She dropped to her knees, crying so hard the room blurred. She wasn't free yet, but the path was there. She could finally bring Diego beyond limits. 2 years later, at JFK Airport, Maria stood at the arrival gate. Her heart raced as passengers streamed out. Then she saw him, Diego, taller now, carrying a small backpack, eyes wide with wonder. "Mama!" he shouted, running into her arms. Maria held him so tightly she feared she'd crush him. Tears soaked her cheeks, but for the first time, they were tears of release, not sorrow. David stood a few steps away, watching, smiling quietly. Maria looked at her son, then at the man who had become her anchor. For years she had been the little bird trapped by walls of fear and poverty. Now, standing in the airport with her son in her arms, she realized something. Birds don't just fly because they have wings. They fly because someone believes they can. Maria had flown beyond hunger, beyond fear, beyond limits, and now, she wasn't flying alone. Ending line. As the three of them walked out of the airport into the New York sun, Maria tilted her head up, eyes tracing the open sky. For the first time in her life, it didn't look unreachable. The little bird had finally learned to soar.